Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. So I've been watching a few videos recently in which a lot of the talk has been about the state of the black community. And to be fair, since I've been on social media since day dot, this has always been a conversation that's come up. And the inevitable theme or state of the conversation always centers around the following theme, and that is the relationship between black men and black women. Now, depending on the videos or people that you watch, you subscribe to, or who you follow, ultimately will sway your viewpoint as to which side of the coin that you pin the blame in regards to the state of the community. On average, I've found that if you are a woman, you will fall on the side of saying it's the man's fault predominantly. And likewise, if you're a man, the reverse will be true. You will believe it's the female's fault predominantly. Which leads to the obvious question and the title of this video. So, who is to blame for the failures of the community? Now, before people start chiming in with their viewpoints, I'm just going to take a second to break this down a second. Now, community is defined as a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. Now, for us, we know what the common trait is that we liken ourselves to, which is how we see ourselves as a community, and that is skin color. We consider ourselves as the black community. I know some of us may have a bit more granular understanding of the community or how they see the community, but on a whole, how we're measured is as a collective as the black community. However, when you listen to either side of the argument, it doesn't matter which side you're talking about, you wouldn't be mistaken in thinking that the actual definition of community, how they see it, refers to gender specific as opposed to color specific. And really, let's be honest, when it comes to the male side, really they talk about black men empowerment and the black male community. And likewise, when it comes to the females, it's really about black females community and black women and their empowerment. But let's be honest, one cannot exist without the other, at least not yet. In order there for men to exist, in order for women to exist, we both need each other to come together because that's how we are all born, irrespective of how we feel about it. That's how life is evolved. That's how it is. Both male and female come together to create life. That's how it's always been. That's how it will be until something changes drastically. So who is to blame for all this? Who do we pin the blame for the failures of the community? Because right now, both groups, it seems, are trying to be the master of hot potato when it comes to this question because no one wants to take ownership or even admit what part they play in the destruction of the community. Because the answer is simple, at least in my mind, and it becomes more and more evident when you listen to these conversations. And I say conversations that they have with each other, but it's not conversations. It just becomes a blame game. It becomes a shouting match. It becomes just hurling insults at each other as to you're the reason for the situation that we're in, you're the reason for the situation we're in. But the answer is simple. And the answer is you. You are the problem. Now, I know people are going to say that can't be true. I'm not responsible for the situation that we're in. I'm only, X amount old. I can't be responsible for something that I've inherited. And you are correct. Let's be honest, on an individual level, because there's nowhere near I can pin the blame on a child who's 2 minutes old, 2 days old for something that they've inherited. And likewise, we've all inherited situations that we are not responsible for. But when I mean you, I'm referring to us as the collective. You as an individual, but you as the collective. Because let's be honest, on average, that's how we refer to people. We generalize. We are both groups, male and female, to blame for the state that the community is in. We both bear massive responsibilities for the situation that we're in, and we both bear accountability. And let me explain why. Because when we break it down on an individual level, each person has a responsibility to become, at least how I see it, to become the best version of yourself or themselves, whether it be physically, financially, mentally, and definitely spiritually, depending on your beliefs. But I hear whenever the topic of improvement comes up, self-improvement, on both sides, pushback. Whenever I hear females being told, you need to lose the weight, be more feminine, be less aggressive, and be more cooperative in general to get on with the opposite sex and just in life, guess what that female's called? Oh, you're trying to make us become a pick me. You're a pick me this, you're this. You only want us to do it for men. Why should we have to do all this? We do everything. Men don't need to do it. Men don't do anything. Men need to do all this kind of stuff. We do everything as it is. We're perfect. That's what it sounds like. And likewise, what happens when the men are told on their part, you know what, you should lose weight. You need to work extra hours to earn more money because you're broke. You need to wear clothes that fit. Speak like a man who's actually, grown up, who's over the age of 25, 35, 45, been able to articulate yourself. Guess what that man is called? Oh, you simping. Oh, you simping. You're only doing this for the females. Oh, you're doing this just so we can get some women. You're only doing it for the women. You're doing it for the women. We don't need to do that. We do everything. Oh, we don't need to self-improve. They need to do it. They need to do it. This is what you get from the collective. And then you wonder why I say what I say in regards to both groups are to blame. Both groups bear responsibility for the situation that the community is in. Because it's always interesting when I hear the reasons. And it always makes me laugh when I hear the reasons why each group believes the counter group is responsible. Because at this point, I hear with surgical precision, I've never seen anything like it in my life, exactly what each group has done wrong. They can pinpoint the origin, the dates, the times, what government was in charge, everything and anything, you name it, when it comes to defending their position as to why the other group is to blame. Yeah, when it comes to their own failures, because let's be honest, each of us have our own failures. When someone points it out, they don't have to be in an aggressive way, just have to point it out in just a clear, balanced argument. Say, just to provide some balance, say, this is actually your issue that you need to sort out. Guess what happens? They get name called, they get called out their name, they ignore all the facts that are presented, and they lose all critical thinking skills. And what they do, they then attack the messenger instead of debating the actual subject matter. And it's always funny when I hear that because they're the same people who will then complain about the other group doing the same thing. Oh, you gaslighting. Oh, you attacking the messenger. Oh, you can't use facts. Oh, you can't use logic. Yet they do the same thing. There's actually a word in dictionary for that. You need to look it up. And the thing is about this, because let's be honest, all this advice, all this self-improvement is to do what? It's actually sound advice because ultimately, guess what it's going to do? It's going to improve the individual, which therefore boosts the collective. So when the individual image is boosted, when each of us take our own responsibility to do what we need to do on the individual level, guess what happens to the community? The community then benefits because each of us as a collective ultimately would improve. Simple that, isn't it? And it's always funny as well because since I've been on social media, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but never have I heard so many people who are successful. They all claim to be alpha. They all claim to be, getting all these women. They claim to be damn near perfect. Women could say that they're gorgeous, they're out of 10, they're educated, they have everything for them, and it's just the other side. This is what it is. It's just the other side that's a problem. I'm everything that I need to be a man. I'm everything that needs to be a female. Basically, we're just a complete shit. Yeah. You know what happens? When I look at something called the stats and the statistics, the facts, and I've done videos on this on the past, and you can see on the thumbnails on the screen right now in regards to what I'm talking about, because we as a collective, and I mean as a collective, both male and female, I do not make any distinctions here. We rank poorly when it comes to our health, poorly when it comes to our education, poorly when it comes to the occupations that we are in. When it comes to the top ranking positions, we fare badly. When it comes to the positions that require little to no education, we are basically most represented there. But yet and still, when it comes to being online, I hear all these exceptions. This is what it must be, is it? This is all these people online must be exceptions to the rules. And it's always those people over there. It must be those other people that we've never heard of before. They're the people who these stats refer to. Yet and still, I'm like, really? So all these people online, these are all the exceptions. Yet and still, when I look at the stats, it seems to me like they actually may be part of the majority. And how do I know that? Because there won't be so much pushback when it comes to self-improvement. You know what I'll be hearing? Yep, no problem. I do this already, but you know what? I'm happy to go to the next level. Because this is what winners do. This is what people actually care about themselves do. They actually care about improving themselves to get to the next level, irrespective of any other gender. Because guess what? All this is about yourself. I don't improve my health for anybody else, except for myself, because I want to live a long life. I want to improve my financial situation because guess what? I want to live in nicer places. I want to be able to afford nice things in life. I want to be able to travel when I want, how I want to do it. I want to live my life how I want to live it. And anyone who wants to be a part of that, great. But guess what? I want to be the master of my own destiny. That's how I see things. But yet and still, when everyone brings up this conversation about self-improvement or how each group has a responsibility to play, guess what we hear? We hear crickets in regards to, or whether it's we are to blame for any situation. It's always, oh, no, it's the other group. And yet when it comes to improving themselves, guess what? Oh, why are you doing this? Oh, we need to do this. It's almost like it's a race to the bottom as opposed to the race to the top. And on a final note with that, just to wrap up, this is why I fully understand. I really do. I fully understand the reason why certain ideologies and theories will always be, and I mean this, always be kept dear to us as a people. And what I mean by that is when it comes to things such as critical race theory, white supremacy, systematic racism, because just like this whole gender discussion about who is to blame for the failures of the community, both groups, in the main, of course, it's not as a collective I'm talking about, but both groups actually believe that in the main, they bear little to no responsibility for the complexion of the community. And guess what they do? They will find any reason to place blame at someone else's feet. So not only do they believe it, but they will believe it without any facts or evidence. This is why I want to hear this topic about white supremacy, critical race theory. I already know what's going to happen. Anything that takes responsibility from their own actions and place it to someone else as the reason why they're in the situation that they're in, guess what? They're going to believe it without even questioning it. But whenever self-accountability comes into place, whenever responsibility gets brought up, guess what happens now? All of a sudden, we need to analyze the statistics. We need to analyze what's going on here. Is this actually true? Who actually produced this report? Is it a white person produced this report or is it a black person? If it's a black person, oh, they have to be an op. They have to be on the other side. They have to be a coon. Whereas if it's a white person, oh, yeah, it most definitely can't be. It can't be. Whatever it may be, if it doesn't support their narrative of someone else is to blame as opposed to themselves, they don't believe it. If it's blaming someone else, they'll believe it wholeheartedly. Because guess what? The truth is so much harder pill to swallow. And guess what? They know it, we know it. It's going to involve work to be done. And this is it now. It's going to involve work to be done by the individual, each of us, including me. I'm not exempt from any of this, as opposed to someone else doing the work for us on our behalf. We are all to blame for the failures of the community, just as we are also the reason for the successes of the community. See, that's how a functional community governs itself, which is why I've realized other minority groups, even though they exist in the same situation that you're existing, the same laws apply to them, they don't seem to fare badly when certain laws may be swayed against them in certain sort of situation that people go about. And the reason why? Their community governs itself for the most part. I'm not saying they're immune to it, do not get me wrong. But for the most part, they know how to govern themselves because they take responsibility for their own actions and they know exactly what they need to do to win in life. And that's what they do. They win in life. That's why these groups, a lot of them, it doesn't matter what country they seem to be in, they always seem to rise to the top because they know the success. Basically, they know the formula for success. While we sit right at the bottom, pointing the finger at somebody else, blaming someone else for our own problems. And that's why we are where we are. And that's why a lot of them are where they are. So that's all I have for today. That's what I wanted to share because a lot of these conversations just make me laugh. I'm sitting back here just thinking to myself, wow, it's just video after video after video. Someone's always to blame for someone else's. Also, always someone else to blame. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the situation. Until next time, I'm out.